I have with me today Jake Stratton-Kent. He's a very well-known occult author, has written countless publications. He's very well known for being a public speaker. I've attended some of his talks myself, which have all been very good. And he is also a great friend to many people in the occult community. So welcome, Jake.
Hi, it's great to be with you.
So can I ask you that, how did you first become interested in doing magic?
It kind of came out of the blue. I mean, I'd always been interested in mythology and stuff, even as a little kid. And yeah, perhaps I should have seen it coming. But eventually it was just a chance phrase from a friend that just triggered off a sort of epiphany in my head, and I realised I should probably be doing magic, and got hold of a manual pretty quickly and started doing it. It was almost overnight. Just a decision that had probably been pending and I'd been unaware of, but then suddenly it became clear. Longer ago than I care to mention.
Did you ever have any doubts about whether it would work or not?
No, not really. I was young at the time and a bit naive, and some of the stuff I absorbed, I had to unabsorb later. But also, like I said, I started practicing magic the day that it seemed like a good idea, rather than study and study and study. And I started getting results quite quickly as well. So I didn't have any doubts, except in how to master the technology and which were the best routes to follow.
Mm-hmm. So some people start doing magic and then they drop that interest. Also, you've continued for many years. So I'm thinking you must have gotten a great deal out of it in the initial stages and had quite a lot of results to have continued with that.
Yeah. Persistence was encouraged. Yeah.
A lot of people say that's kind of beginner's luck. You get a lot of really good results and then things bomb. For me, it actually worked the other way. My first few rituals just didn't work at all. And then I started to get more results, things started to get better.
Yeah, I've had the uphill stuff as well. Mastering technology rather than successfully performing a single spell. Yeah. So, okay, having to figure out what the nuts and bolts are before you can even start constructing. I've had a fair bit of that.
Yeah. But I launched into it without really looking at the technology, and then I did that when the results weren't quite the way I wanted them to be.
Yeah. It's not a faultless science by any means. So there's a mysterious side to it, and there's no point complaining about it because that is kind of how it is. Yeah, it's something you explore. You never completely master. It might be.
Yeah, so you can have a great run of successful work-ins and then have one and it's, well, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
So you've become a very well-known occult writer. What inspired you to first put pen to paper?
Well, I guess writing's kind of in my blood because I can't seem to stop doing it. But I won't put it this way. I was kind of discovered fairly late in my career. I'd written magazine articles and even run a journal for a while, but the book side of things took a while to get going. So people might have this idea that I've been writing for years. It's mostly been this century, so to speak, that my name's got out there. And it's quite contraflow, my stuff. So fitting it into compendiums of other people's stuff doesn't really work. I've avoided that even when there was good money in it. So no, I don't want people putting my stuff and this stuff are the same stuff. That's not how I think. So yeah, I kept my independence as an author, and will continue to do so.
So a little bird tells me that you've had a book out very recently. Would you like to tell us a bit about that book?
Yeah, I just happened to have the hardback and the softback here,
Excellent.
and it's quite slim. I mean, won't take too long to get through it. As opposed to understand it, you might have another pass. But yeah, the Sworn and Secret Grimoire came out yesterday, and I'm very glad about it because I've been working on a project to do with this area for ages, and I eventually realised that I had to break it up, different bits at a time, and prepare the ground a bit. And so this is the first thing to come out of that melange that I've been in for a few years now. Yeah, and hopefully the next stage will be a bit clearer for me.
So you're currently working on other writing projects that are following on from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the same bunch of material that this came out of. There's a whole lot more, which I mean, this takes people's image of the grimoires in a different direction. So, Solomonic angels and demons are out the window. Everything is either an Olympic spirit or an elemental, and even Olympic spirits are a lot closer to elementals than in other people's pictures. This is another way of looking at things. It's been around since Paracelsus. It's not new. It's just kind of been forgotten. It's a few hundred years of folk magic and late grimoire magic swept onto the carpet by the occult revival. And we just reverted back to Solomon, who's kind of Kabbalistic, only he certainly isn't. And that's not even how the grimoires work, really. So that's preparing the ground for that kind of revolution. We can actually use a different ontological model for looking at gods, angels, spirits, hobgoblins, brownies, the lot. You don't have to subscribe to any particular religion. It's just an analytical tool, bestowed on us by Paracelsus. It's an all-round good guy.
Fantastic. Yeah. It does seem to me when looking at your writings that you really are delving down into parts of history that we've forgotten.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't actually stop doing it, so I might as well just get on with it. Oh.
So you're a great friend to many people in the magical community, and some of these people are associated with magical groups or orders, etc. But you've always remained independent from those groups, even though you might occasionally work with them, and you've occasionally worked with the group that I'm in. You've sort of kept yourself independent. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about how that works for you.
Well, it works pretty well for me. And yes, I have been very friendly with various parts of the occult community for a long time, and my misgivings about orders are perhaps much less to do with the chaos magic community than with other parts. So we say, chaos magic has experimented with new formats in group structure and so on, and I'm all for that. But I can't wait for that to revolutionise the entire occult world, so I've had to make my own way, which is often about traditional sources rather than modern approaches, but looking at those traditional sources in a different way, a way that isn't establishment or status quo. You don't have to be classically educated, because the classics aren't really what, say, mythology is about. The classical period comes after mythology by quite some distance. So I'm a kind of chaos magician, but with traditional materials, really. Just have another look at this, see how they really thought, rather than how we've been told they thought. And some of that's not new. Academia has been hip to it for a while. There's a book by Professor Dodds in the 1950s, The Greeks and the Irrational, which totally demolishes the idea that Western society superior to Eastern society because it's rational and doesn't do superstition and stuff like that, which is complete bollocks. That's not what the Greeks were like at all. So it's not; these aren't terrible new ideas, except for the occult community, which has been fed recycled stuff for a long time, and I'm not interested in doing recycled stuff that's be critically appraised and found wanting. So yeah, groups would get in the way, and I have got in my way in the past. You know, I've been hobbled with responsibility for a magical group, and it was like a millstone around my neck. As soon as I left, I became infinitely more creative. You know, my books and stuff are post-group. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah. I found that quite an interesting perspective. As I said, some of it is the opposite of where I am. So when you were talking about being kind of hobbled by responsibilities, because I found those responsibilities have propelled me to do better in some ways.
Yeah.
But I understand that doesn't actually work for everyone.
It doesn't, and you're also, as I say, in a magical order that isn't built on Masonic structure, doesn't have rigid hierarchy, you know, no hierophant for life, so none of that stuff. Whereas magical groups I've been in the past, there has been sort of, a race for prestige, rather than effective communicating and researching. And I'm not really interested in prestige. But I want to see things progress and move, and become more general. Let's let some of this stuff out into the broader community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
I will remain friendly with the chaos community, though, obviously. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this lighter to bloody work.
Oh, it's not working. I got it.
Yeah, they're being a bit erratic at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think you are right that sometimes the titles you get in the group, they can get in the way if your ego gets too attached to them.
Yeah.
And that can stunt somebody's magical development.
Oh, yeah, pomposity and all manner of other stuff comes along with it. Yeah. There was a occult gig I was at years ago. There was, two representatives of this magical order that remain nameless. One of them was a maggot, and the other one was a Magus Template, and they were both sat there, and it was a question and answers situation. And every time the questions got interesting, they had to defer to one of their younger members. And so, we'll pass this question over to so-and-so over there, about half their age and a quarter of their weight, and obviously much smarter than the pair of them put together. It wasn't a good advert of a hierarchy in that organisation at all. And yeah, I've seen a lot of that. You got a young talent having to carry the weight and then getting booted out of the way as an upstarts, and it's not good enough. I must say, your picture is very, very purple. There's sort of purpleness going as a spectrum.
Oh, yes, there has to be.
The prices of different purples.
There has to be a bit of purple.
Yeah.
Which often is a colour that is seen as third eye colour, intuition, psychic abilities. I look at purple more in the royal purple, and it's about having mastery over yourself.
Yeah.
It's about being the queen of yourself, of your own actions. It's all about personal responsibility and owning what you're about.
Well, that's something very close to my heart as well. Yeah. And relates to the subject of magical orders. Yeah, I'm all about personal responsibility. And rather than being spoon-fed, find things out for myself, maybe things that the mainstream aren't talking about. But almost invariably things that the mainstream aren't talking about. There's a lot of, I'm very familiar with the mainstream. I haven't been around for a while. And some of it I've been through and given up. And even found fault with in the end. Some of it's been useful along the way. I've got my interests are more and more focused on what we're missing. And people talk about the various problems we have, and it would be nice if there were solutions. And actually, there's precedents for doing it a completely different way all over the place. and they've been proven effective. And then for some reason the occult revival of the 1875-ish one decided to sweep a whole lot of it under the carpet. It's odd. I mean, there's like periods where we're allowed to be interested in that people write about, and then there's the period just before where those guys got all their ideas, and nobody knows anything about that slice. I come across that all the time. So it's another reason for being personal responsibility, because nobody else is talking about it. All you can do is get out and find out yourself.
Yeah, well.
And there's quite a lot about personal responsibility in this book as well, by the way.
Really interesting. For me, that's one of the important issues in magic. Is if you're going to do a ritual and say it is my will, you need to take responsibility for those results.
Yeah, totally.
And for yourself and the impact that you have on other people in the world.
Oh yeah, and it's no good expressing your word if you're not capable of keeping it. So the spirits are going to say, well, you never do what you say, so why should you play? Yes. So yeah, personal responsibility and living up to your word, all important and quite individualist features in Grimoire magic as I've experienced it. Yes, it certainly encouraged that in me, although it was in my family background to start with, a dose of personal responsibility.
You've talked about having been in magic for many years. Can I ask how many years that's been?
God, well, technically, I suppose, as in actually reading books with witchcraft on the cover and doing the stuff in them, since I was 16, and I'm now 65. So yeah, that's quite a slice of my life.
Yeah.
And it has given me opportunities to check out things that people are still talking about as if they were novelties. Whereas in fact, some of them have become cliches.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Jake. And I do look forward to reading your new book and the ones that follow after.
Oh yeah, I've got to pull my finger out and kick this material into some kind of shape.
I'm sure you will get there.
Yeah, I've got no more excuses. I've got this one out. It's stage 2 now.
Look forward to stage 2. Thank you.